No Chip Kelly for the Houston Texans. Him and his $6 million headed to the Las Vegas Raiders to be their offensive coordinator. 8 names in consideration for the Houston Texans. How do they stack up against each other? Where do you rank them? I'll give you my rankings here, powered by my friends at BetUS. Of course, it is Super Bowl week. BetUS has it for you. I mean, just check it out. You can already get in on a variety of things over at BetUS. Use the code YouTube150. You'll get a 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. There's the coin toss for you. You got props down here as well. It's all there for you at BetUS. Let's talk about the ranking here for the Houston Texans offensive coordinator position amongst the 8 names that have been considered. There's 8 interviews, and at least an interview request for one, if Stenavich hasn't already been interviewed. 8 different names in consideration. Let's rank them 8 to 1. And let's start with number 8 on here. And that is Thad Lewis, the Buccaneers quarterbacks coach. I just am not super excited about the potential of Thad Lewis being the offensive coordinator. He's only been coaching for a handful of years. He's only been coaching the quarterback position for a couple of seasons. And this felt like a get on the radar, check out Thad Lewis for down the road. And for Thad Lewis, it's a nice opportunity for him to kind of get to understand what eventually he'll go through from a offensive coordinator interview perspective. I just don't see how Thad Lewis could end up as the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Next, senior offensive assistant for the Texans, Bill Lazor. He checks in at number 7 for me. I just don't get excited about Lazor getting his 4th opportunity to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He was supposed to be the experienced body in the room last year to help avoid disaster, to help things when they were going wrong to start to go right. I just didn't like what the offense looked like last year. Bill Lazor is a part of that, and I know he wasn't the offensive coordinator. I know he wasn't calling the plays, but that's just one of those things that I don't feel like he can overcome in his pursuit of being the offensive coordinator for the Texans. So glad they talked to him to kind of figure out, hey, what went wrong? What did you see? Pick his brain a little bit, speak freely amongst us about what went wrong. But I don't want Bill Lazor to be the offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. So he checks in at number 7. Checking in at number 6, Grant Udinski. Udinski is a super young guy, hasn't been coaching in the NFL that long, though Josh McCown, the quarterback coach for the Minnesota Vikings, called Udinski the next Kevin O'Connell, and there's a lot of love in Minnesota for Grant Udinski, but I just don't know that you could turn over the offense, even if he is a whiz kid, but he's not even 30 years old yet. Even if he is a whiz kid and you think super highly of him, I don't know that you can really turn this offense over to Grant Udinski. That would be a questionable one. Bill Lazor's had too many opportunities to feel like it's going to go right. Grant Udinski hasn't had enough opportunities to feel like it's going to go right. But, hey, the next Kevin O'Connell, that'd be pretty exciting if you had that. I just don't see it just yet from Grant Udinski. Checking in at number 5 for me is Texans quarterbacks coach Jerrod Johnson. Yes, he has a relationship with CJ Stroud. And a year ago, he was flying through the coaching ranks and talking to anybody and everybody about their offensive coordinator spots before the Texans were able to keep him amongst their coaches. I just don't see how Jerrod Johnson is going to drastically change what the Texans did last year. His idea, I would think, is building on 2023. Well, they didn't build on 2023, so you're going to go all the way backwards and then try to build on that. It feels like starting over from square one would be the way to go. And with Johnson, he was the quarterback coach in 2024. He's responsible for some of the issues that CJ Stroud had as a quarterback in 2024. The footwork wasn't as good. The recognition of plays wasn't as good. The willingness to see it and rip it wasn't as good. And part of that's Jerrod Johnson's responsibility as the quarterback coach. So he has a hand in 2024 not being as good. And that's part of the reason why he's a little bit lower on my list. And because he was a part of 2024 and it wasn't as good, that gives him a long road that he has to prove he would go down. And he doesn't have a ton of experience doing any of this. He hasn't called plays at the NFL level. That's not a huge disqualifier, but he would be an interesting choice as just a promotion from within when he was a part of the 2024 failures and he doesn't have a ton of experience. Checking in at number 4 on this list for me is another Johnson, Brian Johnson, currently on the Commanders, but previously the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. Like the experience, multiple years calling plays, was a quarterback's coach in Philadelphia, had a lot of success as the QB coach before they handed him the offense, and it didn't look very good. Johnson had a rough year. He got fired after one season as the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, and then he went for a little career rehab in Washington under Cliff Kingsbury, where he's been a part of one of the best offenses this past season in the NFL. Johnson's experience, having played a lot of quarterback, having coached quarterbacks a ton in his time in his coaching career, that makes him a little bit more attractive than the guys below him on the list. The unknown and uniqueness of Jeff Nixon makes him more attractive to me than Brian Johnson. Nixon is Syracuse's offensive coordinator. He checks in at number 3 for me on this list. He was fantastic for the Orange. They were the top passing offense in college football. They were 21st scoring offense in college football. And Kyle McCord, the quarterback for the Syracuse Orange, was a cast-off. Ohio State gave up on him. And then Jeff Nixon got him in Syracuse and turned him into a big-time passer. And when you think about, like, hey, disappointment previous season, go out there and have some success. Well, that was CJ Stroud. It's a little disappointing in 2024. Maybe if Nixon's the guy in 2025, he can get CJ Stroud on track, just like he got Kyle McCord on track. Nixon also coached at Baylor, where he called plays for the Bears. They got better each season. He was calling plays at Baylor. He was an interim offensive coordinator in Carolina for a few games. That didn't go very well after they fired Joe Brady one year. But I liked Nixon as sort of an unknown quantity at the NFL level. I mean, some of these other guys have been around the NFL and either don't have a lot of experience like Nixon, or have already called plays and it maybe hasn't gone well, like Brian Johnson or Bill Lazor. So Nixon's a bit of an unknown quantity. He's a unique profile, and I'd be interested to see what he could bring to the table as the offensive coordinator for this team. He's an excitement of the unknown more so than the resume, but we know what he did at college in 2024, and it was really impressive. And if he ended up as the offensive coordinator, he's my number 3 choice on the list. Wouldn't be my top choice, but that Kyle McCord progression from cast off to big-time quarterback prospect now for McCord, it's pretty interesting. I can't figure out why they couldn't run the football there at Syracuse, though. Number 2 on my list is Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich. Stenavich is allowed to interview for the offensive coordinator position because Matt LaFleur has given the thumbs up. He interviewed for the Seahawks position, which was a play-calling position. The Texans offensive coordinator job is a play-calling position. Stenavich does not call plays for the Packers right now. Matt LaFleur would not block his assistants from play-calling opportunities. He himself was afforded the same opportunity back in the day. He called plays for 1 year, and then he was a head coach. So good job by Matt LaFleur. Good job by him, because Stenavich, when I talked to my people in Green Bay, he seemed to be a very valuable piece to what they bring to the table in Green Bay. He's had a good job connecting with offensive linemen when he got there who were a little bit older and well-established. Younger players, he's had a good job connecting with them. He's previously the offensive line coach, and they've been able to develop some offensive linemen as well at the position. And he's been credited with some of the fun, unique, and impressive stuff that they've been able to build from a run game standpoint, some of the looks and some of the different things that they have been able to accomplish on the ground in Green Bay. Josh Jacobs was awesome last year. Stenavich has been getting a lot of credit for that. Now, obviously, Matt LaFleur is the big offensive mind in the building. He calls the plays. So that's a little bit of a hit on Stenavich. Hadn't called plays, but I like his background. Former offensive lineman, did well with the offensive line. They've had some O-line success there in Green Bay with some turnover, connected well with veterans. The Texans are going to have some veterans on that offensive line, some holdovers on that offensive line. You start to kind of see Stenavich's candidacy coming together. Knows DeMeco Ryans from a couple of different times, played together in Houston when Stenavich was an offensive lineman. coached together in San Francisco when Stenavich was the assistant offensive line coach and D'Amico Ryans was there. So I like his candidacy. I like the idea that you could take Stenavich, bring him in as the offensive coordinator. He sort of works on the O-line and the run game, and then it affords you something from an offensive perspective when it comes to the passing game, maybe bringing in a pass game coordinator, maybe adding pass game coordinator to Jerrod Johnson's quarterback title, and he sort of helps marry the pass game to Stenavich's run game, and it's a little bit of a group project, but ultimately Stenavich is going to be the guy that gets the criticism or the praise, but it allows you to maybe keep Jerrod Johnson if you do keep Adam Stenavich, or if you do hire Adam Stenavich. And if that feels like something the Texans have to do, I feel like this is a relationship that could marry and work pretty darn well. All right, finishing up here at the end, my top choice, and it's been my top choice since this process started, that is Rams tight ends coach and pass game coordinator Nick Caley. Caley coached in New England. He was a tight ends coach in New England with the Patriots under Josh McDaniels, so he's got a little experience under the McDaniels system. Went to L.A. after he interviewed for the Texans OC job 2 years ago. Didn't get it. Went to L.A., gets a little Sean McVay seasoning for a couple of years and was helpful out there in what they were able to put together with the Rams and their impressive offense. And I like Caley's background. Having coached tight ends, you got to know run fits. You got to know the pass game. You got to know pass blocking. You got to know run blocking. You got to know everything when you're coaching it up. He turned down the Patriots offensive coordinator position a year ago, and that would have paid him close to $3 million. So it's not for sure that he would take the Texans job. We know he's very precarious about which position he would ultimately leave LA for based on the fact that he turned down the Patriots job and a big paycheck a year ago. But if the Texans could get him, I feel like you could marry up what he learned from McDaniels, what he learned from Sean McVay, bring it in here. We know that CJ Stroud has mentioned time and time again, he loves watching the Rams offense. He loves watching Matt Stafford. Where's Nick Caley from? He helped coach the Rams offense. He helped coach Matt Stafford, and you can kind of see how it all gets put together right there. So 8-1 for me. Thad Lewis, the quarterback coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Senior offensive assistant Bill Lazor at number 7. Mr. Assistant Do-It-All for the Vikings, Grant Udinski at number 6. Texans quarterback coach Jerrod Johnson at number 5. Brian Johnson, currently on the Commander staff, former Eagles offensive coordinator at number 4. Jeff Nixon, the Syracuse offensive coordinator at number 3. Adam Stenavich, the Packers offensive coordinator at number 2. And Nick Caley, the Rams pass game coordinator and tight ends coach at number 1 for me. What's your ranking? Give me your top 3 in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget, BetUS, code YouTube150. Get you ready for the big game this weekend. Going to have plenty of different ways to get in on it. You want to pick a side, a total, anything. YouTube150 going to get you that 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit when you visit my friends at BetUS. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait till we talk Texans and hopefully about an offensive coordinator again soon.